Hello and welcome to the big picture. The first half of the budget session of the Parliament has concluded. The much-awaited legislation to usher in the goods and services tax, which is expected to transform India's tax structure, remains stuck in the Rajya Sabha. The bill hangs fire as the government and the opposition parties, mainly the Congress, are unable to work out a compromise on some of the issues. The main one being what should be the rate of GST and whether a cap can be incorporated in the Act itself. The Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has made it clear yesterday that this demand of the Congress is difficult to fulfill. It may be recalled that the Finance Minister had last year announced that the GST will be implemented from April 1, 2016. That is now out of question. So will a compromise be possible when the budget session resumes next month? Will GST be a reality this year? We will discuss all this today with Ajay, former Secretary, Ministry of Industries and Commerce, Rajiv Kumar, Senior Fellow, Center for Policy Research, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Ajaykumar, National Spokesperson of the Congress, will be joining us soon, and Subhomoy Bhattacharya, Consulting Editor, Business Standard. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Agarwal, why is it that the GST was not spoken about or mentioned during this entire session, the first half of the budget session?
Because this time the priority of the government was that this Aadhaar bill should be passed, and further we wanted that there should be consensus before the bill is put. Otherwise, there is no use again. Then on some pretext or other, the Parliament is not allowed to function, and we wanted that with GST cannot be put to the Parliament without consensus being built with the Congress on their agreeing to allow it to be passed, because it will require a two-third majority from that. So therefore, I think now there was no consensus. Therefore, it was not put on this session.
So yeah, I mean you've been very candid there, Mr. Dua. One of the key things which are being talked about, the Congress says that, and some of the other opposition parties says that that cap has to be there on the rate. The rate itself is still not decided how much it should be, and it should be incorporated in the Act itself. How do you look at that?
I think the demand to fix the rate and put a cap on it being in the GST bill, which will ultimately be called the GST Act, has to be there. But what is being demanded?
There?
No, what is being, I think I want to distinguish between two things. What is being demanded is to put it in the constitutional amendment bill. Not, see, constitution, the process now, Girish, is once the GST's constitutional amendment is passed by the Parliament, by two-thirds of the majority of the number present.
And then half the states.
Then after that, half the states. After that, the central legislature would be empowered to bring in the GST bill. In the GST bill, the rate and the cap can be put. They need not put the cap in order to keep the flexibility with themselves, but year to year suggest the rate, like in any taxation measure, and that will be actually a money bill, which the Lok Sabha will have the supremacy, etc. But demanding it to be put in the constitutional amendment bill is something which the Congress, the principal opposition party, is demanding, because it feared what might happen if this constitutional amendment bill is passed. Thereafter, with the kind of majority which the NDA, BJP-led NDA has, then they could be fixing the rate from time to time the way they like.
Okay.
So, in order to preclude that situation, if I might say, the Congress is wanting it here. But alongside that, I think there is a bit of politics as well, saying that, look, when we had brought the bill, the present government was in opposition. They had opposed it.
That is a fact. That was a fact that for several years they were not able to get it through because there was opposition from the BJP-ruled states itself, including from Gujarat.
That's right.
Rajiv Kumar, how do you see the situation as of now? Do you think that the Congress demand to put it in the constitutional amendment bill itself is a justified demand? And is it possible? Has there been any other such constitutional amendment bills where such a thing has been done?
Girish, we need to look at it a little bit in a historical context, which is that, while our constitution calls India, that is Bharat, a union of states, in the last 70 years, the movement has been towards greater federalism. Now we get a bill, GST, which is clearly strengthening the union functions of the union powers of the government. The central government gets more empowered. And in the context of a huge mistrust between the center and the state, as also the states being very wary of protecting their fiscal autonomy being eroded by the central government, it is a little natural for them to demand a constitutional protection for their fiscal autonomy. Now the thing is that while in a pristine manner, in the perfect world, there is no room for a number in a constitutional amendment bill. But given the importance of this bill, given the fact that this is so critical for creating a unified market within India, I would think that the finance minister should be pragmatic and say that, look, while we know that this is not the thing to be done, we will accept the opposition party's demand so that the bill goes through. I have been maintaining that let's not make the perfect the enemy of the good, because at this point of time, this is a huge step that we are taking in our history, in our economic history. So let it go through rather than get stuck on this, which I think will be a real loss of opportunity.
Okay. Subhomoy, would you agree with Rajiv on this?
In principle, what Rajiv makes is a very valid point. My only fear is that the reason why the bill is getting stuck? I mean, to the world outside, this doesn't seem all that a significant point. What it does seem to me is that the Congress and the BJP do not seem to be on the ball. There's a difference of opinion on probably a much larger issue, which is being camouflaged under the figure of the 18% or 20%, whatever the rates you might say. It doesn't seem, the way one has looked at economic bills over the years, this seems far too simple an issue on which, two major parties are not able to reconcile. So I think there are greater differences.
What is this? You're being, it's very interesting. You're saying that they're trying to camouflage it by talking of this. What is that? What is the actual problem?
I would think one of the points that you said is that GST is a big trophy. Whichever party carries it through to the finishing line gets a very, very major hosannas across. It does change the economic landscape.
But here is a bill which was initially started off in 2009 when the UPA was in power. They were the ones who continued to have, they took it, 5 years it took, but it was not possible for them to bring it for obvious reasons. We all know why they were not able to bring it. So you think that the Congress is not willing to give the credit to the BJP. Is that the reason? You think that's the reason?
I would say it's a very strong idea that after all, if it has waited so long, could wait a bit more. And as I said, that the party, whoever gets it, the central party, whichever gets it, would get a lot of support.
No, but apart from that, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, there are also a talk that your government has suddenly become very cold and has not really pushed it the way it was doing last year, because there seems to be some kind of an opposition within your own organizations like Swadeshi Jagran Manch and people like that. They're not very comfortable with this.
No, basically I agree to large extent to what Mr. Subhomoy said.
Of course you will agree with him.
Because what I think is that a lot of water has flown over 7 or 8 years, and the bill has seen many changes and amendments, and it has gone through standing committee, councils, debates, public debate, everywhere it has been debated, and now there is basically consensus. We over last 2 sessions had extremely tried with the Congress at all levels. Even at the level of Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, they asked if PM should call. They all PM.
No, in fact, your minister after meeting Sonia Gandhi came and said that we have resolved the issue.
What resolved? They had come out with 3 issues.
Yes.
And on those issues, we had put our positions. And now, yesterday, even also, Arun Jaitley, FMS said that only on one issue where there is practically we see logic that this cannot be accepted. If you make
That
it
1% extra tax, you are willing to forego.
those two issues, FMS yesterday also said that we are ready to go with the Congress thinking, opposition thinking, and we are ready to debate. Still, what we want is we have exhausted all our resources on talking with the Congress and making them agree.
How can you say you are exhausted all the resources?
What they want, basically, there has to be a one point where you cannot concede. The FMS said we cannot concede on this issue, and he has logic on that, because if you make it a constitutional provision of 18% cap, then everywhere, anytime you need to change. That will be difficult.
You have to bring a constitutional amendment bill
and
again.
Otherwise also their concerns that the ruling government should not decide the rate has been taken care of. That standing council where opposition participation is there, where other participation is there, parliament committee will decide on the rates. The government in itself cannot unilaterally decide on the rate. So therefore, they should agree now. What our thinking is, Congress, all their concerns have been taken care of. Whatever they wanted to debate, and in their precondition or other issues also have also been agreed upon. They wanted a debate on intolerance, other things, they have been accepted.
Okay,
so now it seems that Congress is not interested in passing the GST.
No, I don't think you can put the onus on the opposition to pass a bill. It has to be the government's responsibility to get the bill passed.
They should
you can't put the onus on opposition on that. Mr. Dua, you think that all other concerns have been, as far as the bill is concerned, have been taken care of?
Three concerns which the Congress had put forward.
Are there anything except apart from what the Congress has put forward?
No, these are the three stated concerns. There are extraneous concerns, I think.
Let me put the concern about 1% being levied in order to compensate the manufactured, the producing states. I think the Congress had pointed it out, saying it will, in a way, impact the scheme of the things. If you have this 1%, then there is cascading effect, etc. will remain. Rightly, I think the finance minister has been saying we are willing to look at it, meaning we can let it go.
In the debate in the parliament.
Yeah, we can let it go. Then was the issue about the dispute resolution body itself having a kind of a quasi-judicial powers, etc., with judicial people being in it. It was something which the Congress was demanding beyond reasonableness, because after all, what was it? Here we are saying that that mechanism will have center and state in it.
Right.
Extraneous now member is being put in it. Something which
this GST Council being the body which will ultimately decide what is the rate of taxes over a period.
No, that was decided. And
about that there cannot be any thoughts on that.
I thought, as was pointed out, this is center giving its right up on certain taxes, state giving up its rights on certain others. So the best body was the GST Council. And there the weightages had been agreed upon, saying neither side by itself can amend can change the scheme of things. The Congress has been wanting their kind of a judicial person also to be present. Normally, judiciary should have been coming outside the scheme of things of Parliament. In a parliamentary or a federal setup, you didn't want it there. How it will get resolved, I don't know. But it is not something which cannot be resolved. I think the major thing as of now is the cap and the current rate. I think, to my mind, apart from what's been said about that, that's the pragmatic or the practical way out. We are, by putting this, getting such a legislation in, impinging on the autonomy of the federal government or the government by itself. Taxation the world over has been left to the government in power. If you are going to be sitting so rigidly on it, it means you are eroding that power, because every time you want to go beyond a cap or change the rate, you will have to come back through a constitutional amendment. Otherwise, what's going to happen is the whole scheme of things is going to become counterproductive. The states have to be compensated, their current revenues have to be compensated. you put an unreasonably low rate.
No, but that compensation has been agreed upon for 3 years.
No, true. But the fact is, if you agree on an 18% rate, 19% rate, and you find that you're not earning enough, the centre would have to be compensating the states for the 3 years out of some other pool of funds.
They can bring about an amendment if the states, states have a problem.
So again, then the opposition could take another stand, saying we won't let it pass. You put out the money from your central kitty. So any kinds of possibility is possible, and it could turn out to be, in a scheme like this in the initial years, counterproductive, inflationary, if you have to be pulling out funds from somewhere else and compensating the state than what's been desired. So I think there is a mixture of politics and economics, but politics right now seems to be center stage. In this.
Okay, Mr. Rajiv Kumar. Rajiv Kumar, what has been the impact of this delay? Because, we have been talking about this for the last 5-6 years, and, this delay which is taking place, and now I'm sure even if by some chance they are able to get the bill passed in the second half of the budget session, the implementation will not be in a hurry.
Yeah, I think you've raised a very good point, which is that, look, India was growing at 8.5%, 9% between 2003 and 2010 without such a bill.
Exactly.
And India, I'm sure, can achieve 8, 9, 10% rates of growth without the GST being in place. While it is a critical instrument, but the reason that I gave you was that it is critical to make India a unified market and to strengthen the centripetal forces as against the centrifugal forces. Now, but as an economist, I can assure you that it is not a sine qua non. It is not a necessary or a sort of critical condition for Indian economic growth to be at the level at which it should be, which is above 8%. So I think it is also not too much should be made of it, and I think the central government should be well advised to, as it were, just put it down in the cold storage for the opposition parties to cool their heels if they so like, and get on with the job of raising the investment rates, improving the business climate, and getting the employment going, which is the critical thing. You cannot waste time at this stage in not getting the growth started and getting the employment generation going, which is the most critical part.
No,
the point that I'm trying to make is, yes, GST is important, and therefore I said you can be pragmatic about it and call the opposition parties bluff. But the second point but at the same time, GST is not a showstopper. GST is not a showstopper. But let me make one other point, Mr. Nikam, and which is that this thing about interest, about the tax rate having to be higher than 18% is just a non-starter. If the current value, the current rate that the chief economic advisor has suggested is around 15-16%.
Right.
The Kelkar committee had said that a revenue neutral rate would be about 12%. That is the purpose of the GST, to bring down the incidence of tax and widen the tax base.
Right.
So that your cost of production is globally competitive. So I think let us be clear that 18% is a very safe cap. Yes, it should not be in the constitutional amendment bill, but if you have to call the opposition's bluff, go ahead and do it, because I'm sure you will never get to a situation where you have to raise the bill, the rate once again, and need a constitutional amendment bill. 18% is far too high already.
Oh, even if you have to bring it down, you'll have to pay. Then, of course, the opposition should not have a problem.
No, that's a cap. No, it's a cap.
That's a cap. So
it's a cap. It's not a floor.
Absolutely.
It's a cap.
Absolutely, it's a cap.
If it is lower than that, nothing gets affected.
Okay. Yes.
I just want to add one or two points on this, what Mr. Rajiv said, that GST is very important. With the global economy in a very bad shape, and India has a potential to grow much faster than what it is doing. And for that, you need a capital from the international community. Passing of GST will give a very positive signal to the foreign investors. We need capital. Without capital, India is in a difficult situation. We will not be able to grow as we our true potential
But
is.
what about Rajiv Kumar's point that
What he said ki even without GST we will be able to grow. I'm
one second, I'll come to you, Rajiv.
Yeah, I'm agreeing that we can grow, but
And
true
the, and the foreign direct investment will come into this country.
Rajivji, let me finish.
It has been coming.
Rajiv, let him finish. I'll come back to
There
you.
are so many other things that you can do.
I'll come to you. Let him finish.
What I'm saying is GST is important for positive signal to the international investor. Second, more important is there is lot of leakages in our system, lot of complications in the tax administration. GST will bring the total transparency, digitization, IT infrastructure, smoothness of functioning. All these are very important.
All these are very important. There's no doubt.
For the economy.
But when the Congress was saying it was important, your party was not agreeing to that. That's where the problem seems to lie.
There were some issues. So we
Mr. Rajiv. Yes, Rajiv.
Mr. Nikam, 3 points. See, one, that the foreign direct investment has been coming into this country, and perhaps the resolution of this retrogressive taxation and the huge kind of tax administration problem that you're facing today is probably a much bigger signal for them than to get the GST. They haven't had a GST for the last 70 years, and they've been here. The foreign direct investment has been here. The second point that one must remember is that the red tape and the procedural, sort of dysfunctional procedures that we've got, that has to be removed first, which doesn't require the GST.
Will require the
and
IT
the third
infrastructure.
point that I want to make is that the transparency, the digitization, etc., will still not happen because you've got so many exemptions from the GST. You already agreed to alcohol and tobacco and some others, and all the food, raw food items and the primary commodities being out of the GST. So it is not as if the GST is a panacea. I have said before, it's an important step. It's a great.
But it's not a panacea.
It's something that should be done, but one should not make out as if India will not progress without the GST.
Okay, that's the important point. Subhomoy, you think the government is laying too much stress on this, or in the last 2-3 months, 2 months at least, they've stopped talking about it. So have they also realized that if opposition wants it, we'll do it. Otherwise, let us just leave it aside and go ahead with it.
Well, that's for the government. I mean, I wouldn't know the inner working of what exactly they're planning. But to me, what Rajiv has made, the point about we could wait and we could let the moment pass is, I think, a bit risky from the point of view that our reform record has often been patchy. If there is a chance to get this thing through, then we might as well sail with it. The reason why I sure agree with him that it's not the answer, as you're asking, to lots of questions. There are plenty of exemptions that have been built in. But if we don't get it through now, I don't see this bill coming through in another decade or so. It simply is going to lie cold shoulder, and once it's done, it will simply lie there as something which we tried and finished.
So you're saying that this is the time to grab the opportunity and do it. Otherwise,
again, momentum building will be difficult.
Will you agree? Yes, Rajiv.
But then Subhomoy agree to the 18% cap.
Yeah,
and be pragmatic about it.
That's for them to do
we
it.
are not saying that 18%. We have agreed to the rate. Only it is the constitutional provision that is we are not talking.
Girish, I think
why not?
There is no reason
why not?
Right now for us to go or for the government to go slow on the GST bill. A certain amount of momentum has been built, and it's taken years to develop it in the consensus with the states. Now, I think the differences are so small between the states. Now, of course, we are Amit Mitra now is the new chairman. He may have a point of view in scheme of things, etc. But we have resolved a fair amount of it. If you look at it, this government cannot, to my mind, politically, pardon my saying it, you cannot afford to be seen relenting on this. You've done that on land acquisition. You've done that on labor. You need that politically as well to push it through. And more than the bill, more than the foreign direct investment, to my mind, we make a lot of foreign in India. After all, it doesn't contribute more than 2.5% of the national income.
Exactly.
But we need it for streamlining our own competitiveness within the country. Tax over tax, cascading. And
I think we have got Ajaykumar on the phone line. Ajay, very quickly, we are just completely running out of time. The point is being made here is that the Congress is unnecessarily sticking to its demand of having this cap incorporated in the Constitution Amendment Bill itself, because because it doesn't want to give the credit to the NDA government that it was passing the GST bill.
No, I think Girishji, the NDA government has to get away from this whole thing about taking credit. I mean, first of all, we would like the GST to be passed. But if you remember those the recommendations which we gave, they only listened to us once the Chief Economic Advisor, Arvind Subramaniam, had also mentioned that 1% of interstate doesn't make sense, that you should get rid of, and that the tax rate should be to 17 to 18%. The other part is that we gave a proposal, and however much Mr. Jaitley will speak through the various, various TV channels, why don't they reply to us in a formal way and have a discussion on those issues? So those three main issues, one, I think on the interstate 1% he's agreed upon. I mean, at least his statements say that.
Yes.
And the other one was on the council, the composition of the council, where we said that it should not be 75-25% because it should be 2/3, 1/3, because that would give the fair amount of...
The only thing he has a problem is to incorporate that cap in the Constitutional Amendment Bill itself, because he says every time you have to change, you have to go back to get the Constitution Amendment Bill passed every time. So he is saying that is something which cannot be incorporated.
Girishji, look, the English language.
Objecting to.
One sec. Can I
please.
The English language has got added. The English and the drafting skills of the government or any of the Lok Sabha Secretariat should be adequate enough to find ways to make sure these are incorporated and ensuring that under certain egregious conditions, because see, 17 to 18% is also at the upper end. There is no country in this world which has got more than 16% of GST. So if you look at the whole world doesn't have, and you're putting 2% plus, and the world all over across the world the rates are coming down. So find ways to, you can discuss across and see ways to include this include this point of the Congress, at the same time giving you some leverage. We are open to those discussions.
Okay.
But Girishji, the last point is, we feel that the RSS or the Swadeshi Jagran Manch, these people have been holding it ransom for the past 9 years. If you see the way Mr. Jaitley suddenly seems to have kept GST into cold storage, he just picks it up once in a while to reassure the business community or the investors or the people who are looking at India. We would ask the government to be serious on it because we are serious on it.
Okay. I think that he has been very clear on that. Now it's up to the government to respond to that. He says the government doesn't respond to us. They don't write to us. They just keep talking on inside different platforms.
Everywhere it has been made clear. Yesterday also FM has very clearly said that there is only one issue which needs resolve. And
now he has given, Ajaykumar, I think, has given some kind of a avenue through which you can get through this problem, but we'll wait and watch what will happen.
And we are also hopeful.
Let's be hopeful that it will, in the next, the second half of the budget session, this will come through. Thanks to all my guests. Please keep watching. We'll come back with another issue in the big picture same time on Monday. Meanwhile, have a great weekend.